All right, so let me just lay it out. I've been saying this since I saw Zion play at Duke. I'm like, this is the next phenom. And there's a lot of criticism. Oh, my guy can't shoot. He's too big. And I say, the only thing I worry about is torque. Is he going to get hurt? But this is what a phenom looked like. And big and strong and powerful. And he got me to college basketball. And college basketball, it's an airport. People land. 15 minutes later, they get in a flight and leave. It's the apartment complex. Nobody really wants to be there. Everybody's trying to transition. That's what college basketball has become. And the NBA is the house. That's where people want to live and be in a neighborhood and grow old. And so I look at Zion, and to me, it was an obvious thing. That's what a phenom looks like. The smile, the game, the power. And last night, you saw all of it. You saw the size, the burst. You heard the MVP chants, 17 points, the burst in the fourth. Even a little controversy, they pulled him out. You saw a kid, that's what a phenom looks like when a phenom is not in good shape. He's not in great shape right now. It was a dud in the first half. He looked tired. He was passive. The game was fast. But phenoms pick up on it very, very quickly. He is a better shooter than Blake Griffin will ever be. He is stronger than Charles Barkley, and he is faster than Karl Malone. 5 or 6 NBA players in my life, and I've been watching this league for 40 years. I'm talking about the highly skilled guys, not Ben Wallace. There's been 5 or 6 highly skilled guys that just look different. Shaq, Barkley, LeBron, Karl Malone, and Zion. Zion doesn't even look like an NBA body. You know how I say Odell Beckham's the first NBA guy in the NFL? Zion's one of the few NFL guys in the NBA. He's running up the court. He doesn't look like a tight end. He looks like a defensive tackle. And in a league now that is 3-ball-centric, very finesse, can't touch anybody, a lot of skinny 219-pound centers, and guys who can shoot threes, he is going to bully his way to 24 a night. Never forget this about LeBron James. LeBron's first 5 years in the league, I remember going on the air and saying, I know he's great, but he bores me. It's just a freight train. He's running over everybody. Then he developed an inside game after being humiliated against the Mavericks in the championship. Then he developed a three-point game. He's always been a good distributor. But Zion Williamson, that is what a phenom looks like. The criticisms were silly. Well, I don't know about he's never going to be able to shoot. He doesn't need to be a great shooter to get 24 a night and sell tickets. He looks different. Sometimes you just have to not outthink the room. First of all, he's like, 19? Were you refined at 19? I didn't really think I was a good broadcaster until about 33. At 19, he's going to be a totally refined basketball player. LeBron's the best high school player ever, and it took him about 6 years where you were like, yeah, he's close, but he still has to get an inside game. Of course he doesn't have it all buttoned up yet. The other thing is his shot wasn't broken. It just needed to be tweaked. Ben Simmons' shot, Markelle Fultz shot, Russell Westbrook's shot, those are broken shots. Derrick Rose's shot. This was just a jumper that needed to be tweaked. Even Ray Allen came into the league and wasn't a dead-eye three shooter. Ray Allen was athletic and became a great three-point shooter. Shooting's the one thing I almost always feel can be tweaked. But don't outthink the room. Sometimes there's a physical element to you that signals a star. Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's just too damn fast to cover. It's going to work if you give him a decent quarterback. Don't outthink the room. You can't keep up with him. Deion Sanders, he's just too fast. Zion's just too big. In a league now with no power forwards, 224-pound centers, and a bunch of guys, lanky guys who can hit threes. The power forward's basically gone. I mean, to me, Zion's a center. He's a small ball lineup center. If Kayvon Looney had that talent, he could go to the Warriors. You put him in with Clay and Steph and Draymond, and Zion's your center. That's what he looks like in today's modern NBA. So you saw it all. He was a B12 shot to the NBA last night. The NBA's been sagging. There's not a lot of urgency. LeBron's in his 17th year. It looks like the 2 LA teams are way better than everybody else. He is exactly what the NBA needs. By the way, here's how big of a phenom he is. And sometimes I always used to use the rule with my late mother, Patricia. The difference between a star and a superstar is my mom knows superstars. My mom didn't know who Derek Jeter was. She knew who A-Rod was. My mom didn't know who Scottie Pippen was. She knew who MJ was. Okay, my mom doesn't know a million comedians. She knows who Ellen is. She knows who Seinfeld was. Okay, Zion's going to be a superstar. And it's not just going to be his average and his stats. John Morant's going to be a star. He's getting close to being one. This is what a phenom is about. Literally taking your breath away, looks different than everybody else. The smile, the sound afterwards. Here's Zion.
It was everything I dreamed of, except for the losing part. It's the energy the crowd brought, the energy the city brought. It was electric, and I'm just grateful that they did that. So it was a dream come true to finally get out there, but at the end of the day, I didn't want to win, so I just got to look the next game.
I also think he's incredibly likable. And if you look at the history of really big superstars in America, Magic was likable, and Brett Favre was likable. Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR guy, was likable. There's a likability about him. You just want to put your arms around him, if you could, except you can't because he's a tank. But there's a real decency. I don't want to get too melodramatic, but there's just certain players I root for. He's an easy kid to root for. I said before, Westbrook's talented. I can't root for him. Aaron Rodgers is talented. It's hard to root for him. Zion's easy to root for. So I just couldn't have been happier last night. All right, let's bring him in. The Doug Gottlieb Show after hours, Fox Sports Radio. First half for Zion was Dodge City. I heard you were not impressed with Zion, even that amazing fourth quarter burst.
Well, I thought last night was a Rorschach test, right? Where, like the zinc blocks,
right,
where you see what you want to see, right? For you want to see something spectacular. And
I wanted a spectacle.
13 consecutive points was pretty amazing.
Right.
Okay, but how did he look?
First half, he looked tired and out of shape.
Yes, and what did he do when he scored those 13 points to make you think otherwise? They were wide open. They had to play him at center, which I do think is going to be a big part of his future. They had to play him at center, and the San Antonio Spurs dared him to make jump shots. They did not guard him on 3 of the shots, and then LaMarcus Aldridge challenged the fourth one. So, look, that's what you do when you're rehabbing, by the way. That's the one thing you can do almost the entire time, which is catch and shoot jump shots. And if he can make threes on a regular basis, he becomes a very dynamic player.
Yeah.
But let's not kid ourselves. He looked out of shape.
Yes.
He was sloppy. It's understandable in your first NBA game to be forcing things, but it was the way in which he just kind of lost the ball and just kind of flopped around out there that led you.
He is 19, though.
I understand, but you would think that the Pelicans, and I'm sure they did this, held him out a lot longer than they needed to hold him out to make sure he was ready.
Yeah.
Right? He was fresh. He was sharp. They put him through hard workouts. He did not appear to have the wind. I understand there's game speed and basketball conditioning, and you can't get it unless you actually play in games. But he didn't have any wind. His body didn't look sharp.
Let me ask you this. Zion Williamson.
You're looking at the box score. That's such a mistake.
I'm not. In the world's greatest basketball league, there's really no second, scored 17 straight points as a 19-year-old.
Okay.
That's insane.
No, look, I mean, there's a reason he was the number one pick, right? We all thought he was going to be good, and he did. He made jump shots, which is, the second weakest part of his game. The weakest part of his game is the ability to stop and shoot the basketball. He shot catch and shoot last year,
right.
He never stops and shoots the ball. No mid-range game, but that can develop over time. But again, don't look at This happens with fans, especially. Sometimes it happens with coaches where they mistaken made shots for good basketball. He didn't look great. Look, making shots and just his mere presence energized the entire league, definitely the New Orleans Pelicans last night. When he wasn't playing or wasn't playing well in the first half, it was like a funeral.
Okay.
And it was like a party in the fourth quarter. But don't kid yourself, he didn't look good even though he made shots.
I'm not into the looking good. There's not 9 guys in the NBA currently that can score 17 consecutive points.
What are you talking about?
Name them.
Look at what Russell Westbrook has done recently, what Trae Young has done, what John Morant can do.
Stop.
LeBron James,
17
Anthony
straight.
Davis. Of course they can. If somebody's going to leave any of these guys wide open 4 straight times down the floor, that's what the Spurs did. They left him. They dared him. They guarded him like people used to guard me. Go ahead, shoot the ball.
Doug.
And he made 4.
Russell's shooting 36%. They are leaving him open. He can't score 17 straight.
Listen, you're doing what people did after Giannis hit 5 threes against the Lakers. You're like, see, Giannis can make threes. No, he can't. Look at the rest of the season.
No,
it's you saw an outlier.
I'm looking at Giannis going.
What is the fear with Zion Williamson? What is the only thing holding people? Huh?
Torque.
But because of what?
He plays with a violence to his body that's unprecedented.
Yes, and he's carrying too much weight.
I think he's big.
Okay.
Shaq is big. And
okay, so did anything he did last night lead you to believe? Because that's my only fear. Like, look, I know the kid can play. He's going to become a better and better shooter.
When I listened to Nick Wright on this network, I had to choose Nick Wright. He was going to go to ESPN.
Yeah.
I listened to 90 Seconds. I didn't need his show.
But if you watch the 90 seconds in the first half, you're like, man, that kid looks like he's going to hurt himself.
Give me Nick's best 90. And I said, kid, he was a fan. I said, get over here. I don't need anything. I just need 3 minutes. And I'm like, a 19-year-old took over an NBA game.
Yeah.
90% of this league can't score back. There's a lot of...
That's not true.
There's a lot of guys.
Colin,
look at the Lakers.
I love you. It's
okay,
not true.
No, Doug,
the Lakers have two guys.
Name a Laker outside of LeBron that creates shots for others. Legitimately. The other night, LeBron played poorly. They didn't have a player.
That is a non sequitur. Was he creating shots? Do I think Zion can create shots? Yes. Okay, but that's not what you said. You just said he scored 17 in a row. Kuzma can score 17 in a row. Anthony Davis can score 17 in a row. If you leave those dudes open 4 times in a row.
Those are Hall of Famers. He did it at 19.
They didn't guard him, Colin. They dared him to shoot. Right? Like, he was open for a reason.
So your argument is I should take nothing out of that 3-minute stretch.
That it appears as though he's worked diligently on his jump shot, which is what he should work on while he's rehabbing. That's what you can do even before they let you run around and move laterally. He should be in the gym every day, getting 1,000 up, where if he can make that shot, like, look, he translates into a much more athletic Draymond Green. Right, that's the weapon that we saw.
I think he's way better than Draymond Green.
I understand, but it's what he can do. He's a power forward at 6'5.5", 6'6", okay, who can play center and can guard potentially all 5 positions.
Yeah.
The problem becomes if he continues to carry this weight, there's a likelihood there of injury. How do I know this?
Well, no,
he got hurt at Duke. He got hurt in the summer league. And he got hurt in training camp.
I'm not denying.
And he didn't look. That's the only fear. No one said he can't play.
Why did American Idol have 40-second auditions? You can spot talent.
Did you watch again? But did you watch the first 40? What the context? You watched the fourth quarter. If you watched the first and second, third quarter, you'd be like, man, I'm a little concerned.
Let me ask you. Yes. What defines Michael's career? The first or the fourth? What defines NBA careers? It ain't the first.
Not against the San Antonio Spurs on a
quarter,
Wednesday night.
He was the best player on a floor with a bunch of NBA dudes.
Look, I love you, okay? But you have to take context in. He made shots last night. These two things can both be true. He cannot look like he's in great shape,
right? And
you can still have a major concern about injury of any kind because of the torque and the weight and him being a little bit sloppy looking. And he can make shots and have the ability to. One of the things that's underrated is he does have the ability to deliver on the billing. It took him a long time. It's his first game. He's got to settle down.
You're in impeccable shape. Impeccable shape.
Yep.
Couldn't make the league. He's in terrible shape and was the best player on the floor at 19 in the fourth quarter.
Again,
he's in terrible shape.
You're putting together that he made shots with he was the best player.
No.
Those two things are not the same.
This is a score-the-ball league. You got to score to win.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've heard it's a make-or-miss league. I've heard a lot of different things.
You put the ball in the basket, you end up with wins.
You do. Yeah, generally, the team that has more points always
put 17 straight points in the basket.
Okay. So Giannis can shoot based upon if you watch the Lakers game, and Zion Williamson is going to be a dead-eye three-point shooter.
Giannis is great. Yes. And it was very easy to see about year 3 in the league. You're like, holy crap.
Yeah, look, I think he's going to be very, very good. And I would have taken him number 1 for all the reasons that the Pelicans took him, even though everybody knew Ja Morant has a chance to be a superstar. On the other hand, I'd just be concerned if I'm New Orleans. We spent months rehabbing, teaching him how to walk. Right, that's what they did. Teach him how to walk, teach him how to run.
Oh, I get that.
So he doesn't put as much pressure on the outside of his foot, on those ligaments and tendons. And when he stepped on the floor athletically, he still looked sloppy, and I was surprised by that.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I watched it last night holding my breath. I mean, I literally watched it. Like, I was nervous watching him play.
Yes.
I was like, just don't rip an ankle up. And the whole night, even in the fourth, I'm like, all right, kid, just get in, get out, play 4 minutes, let's go.